Baby Dude is back with another Baby Dude interview. Today I have a Super Bowl champion, a wide receiver with the Baltimore Ravens, and drafted by my team, the Minnesota Vikings, back in 1993. Today I have Qadry Ismail. What's up, man?
What's going on with you, Jeff?
Not too much. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it. Doing these interviews, like I said, I like to catch up with dads that have extraordinary jobs. I know you have three kids yourself, and I know they're a little bit older now at this point. Um, I just want to talk about like how you did that, man. Like having kids is hard. How did you like while you were still in the league? How did it work? Like having three kids, man.
Well, to be honest with you, looking back on that time, I look at it with really fond memories of just raising my kids, and obviously their mom did a fantastic job of raising them when I was off at practice or I was at games. But my interaction with my kids, just meant the world to me. And I love the little moments that we had. And I'm sure now, as I reflect back on it for them, it's like, all right, Dad, yeah, cool. But for me, it meant everything then, and it means everything now. So, uh, the time when I'm taking Lamaze class, and expecting my first child, my daughter Kalea, and I can vividly remember when she came into this world, and boy, just her cry was interesting because when she came out, she cried and she opened up her eyes and she looked at me and she looked at her mother, looked at me, looked at her mother, looked at me, looked at her mother, and kind of cried, and it was like, all right, I'm here. I think what's going on. My second child, my son Qadry, he he was born in July, on July 23rd, which training camp started on July, I think, 22nd.
Of
And
course. And
so
why
for
not? Why
him,
wouldn't it be on that exact day? Right.
right, yeah, yeah, so it's like, hey, I was playing for the New Orleans Saints. I told Mike Ditka and company, look, my wife is expecting, and we're gonna have our second child, so I'm not gonna be able to make it on camp on time. And so that was really foreign to me. Just like, oh my god, like the expectation of going to camp meant everything career wise and all that. But now I got a son coming into this world, and so I stayed down there. And I was in Boca Raton, Florida at the time, and training camp obviously was up in Wisconsin. And so I stayed in Boca for a couple of days extra. My son came into this world. He looked like an old man. Yeah, he had like this little patch of
Right.
hair. And I remember my daughter, his sister, holding him, and the bond with them was created, which was really really special and cool. Um, the crazy thing about it, during training camp, like he just non-stop cried, and it was like I didn't know what to do because I'm a couple of thousand miles away. His mom, she had some of her family and friends trying to help, but no one was able to really calm him down. And I remember when we broke camp, went back down to New Orleans, and here comes my family, and of course, Kalea, my daughter, runs up to me, and I'm giving her a hug and holding her, and there's this beautiful boy, Qadry, um, and literally I held him in my arms, and I was like, "Hey, Qadry," and he was sleeping, but he never cried since. Like he was the most peaceful, chill baby, and he just wanted, his dad time. I guess he must have intuitively knew it somehow, some way that, hey man, I need to hang out with dad. So that was really super cool. And then my youngest, Kadir, was our surprise. Oh, you're pregnant
Of
again.
course.
How did that happen? That sort of thing. But Kadir, our youngest, he he completed the family, and it was something seeing him coming into the world, and um, still to this day, he's the communicator with all three of them. I think they all have their unique talents and their unique gifts. But what makes them all so special to me as a father is their bond. I have a loving relationship with my brother and sisters, or sister rather, and I love the fact that my kids love one another and support one another and are their champion encouragers. And it's really special to see. But just so, I mean, I could talk hours upon hours on just the different memories of them when they were growing up and some of the amazing times. But I love the fact that I played in the NFL and that they got a chance to see Dad play. They might not remember every bit of it, but for sure it was a lot of fun.
It's yeah, that's, I mean, there's something about the bond with your kids and being a dad. Like when you, like, just last night, I have a 6-month-old baby right now, so he's waking
Congratulations.
up right now. Thank you. Yeah, and I get up pissed off, and I'm like, man, this sucks. And then you go in there and pick him up, and you're like, this is my dude. I got two boys. I'm like, this is my dude right here. So like, yeah, there's definitely a super dad bond. And like you said, you could talk about this for hours. Dads love talking about their kids. It's something that doesn't get talked about enough, but I think dads are now more active than ever. And dads are involved, and it's a big deal for them too. So I think it's great that, like you said, you want to talk about them for hours and um, have tons of stories, and that's the way it should be for sure. About your kids now, I know they're grown up for the most part, right? I mean, I kind of dug a little bit. You got a bunch of athletes up in there.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting because when again, I was an active player, so part of your job is you got to be in shape, you got to be ready to work and go, and you go into training camp or whatever. And so for me, it was interesting because my kids, they loved going with Dad to go work out. And basically what going with Dad worked out entailed was, I would go. I remember the one field, the one park over in Boca Raton. We go to it, and all three of my kids would come with me. And it was a little bit of a hassle because, oh my God, it's work. Bring your kid to work day. Hey, what are you
Right.
guys gonna do? Let's go to the park.
A little bit different than most of us. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm sitting there stretching, but it was cute because I would see my kids stretch.
Hmm.
I was seeing my kids, start to kind of get active. And I think health and fitness, especially now that they're older, for me, and what I feel as an older person now, past the half century mark, which is like, what? How did that?
Yeah. Crazy, man.
I was just 30 2 days ago. That type
Yeah.
of thing.
Right.
But it's funny because they enjoyed it for every bit of, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes, and then it was, ooh, let's go over here. And so let's go over here meant they would go to the little, I don't know, higher grass somewhere around in the trees and look for the little lizards or frogs or something. They were just like going all over the place. And here I am, I'm running and sweating up a storm, but they would come over to me every now and then. I would bring my water, and I learned you better bring extra water. And obviously in Florida, you have your extra water or whatever. But I mean, they can have their water, but they ain't drinking their water. They're drinking Dad's water. I don't know why. Maybe Dad had
Already,
that.
already with my 2-year-old, man. He only wants daddy's water. That's it. Yeah, I totally feel you. That's
And it's great, so, but I learned, I was like, I better bring an extra thing of it. So they just loved it. And it's really interesting too. I know when the season would roll around, um, when I was in Baltimore with the Ravens, my um, 2000 season, we were winning games and getting
yeah.
ready
Great,
to
great
go on.
teams right there, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A historic defense. offense that kind of just bonded, weren't really lighting the world on fire as far as some of the statistics. But I think, what we're a big play team and made big plays and did some really cool things. Obviously won the Super Bowl. But from a dad's perspective, it was every Tuesday is our off day. And if you were injured or whatever, you go in and get treatment. And my kids, we would all go in to the facility. But they couldn't say facility, so it was facility.
Right.
Hey, Dad, can we go to the facility? I was like, yeah, we'll go to the facility. Come on, guys. So, I mean, they would be jacked out of their minds like, yeah, we're going to the facility.
I mean,
So
I
we
can't
get there.
imagine being their age. That's the coolest thing. Like, you're going to the NFL team. Like, that's awesome, man.
Well, now it's interesting, too, because it's not that we're going to an NFL, like, I think they knew, but it was more along the lines of like, yo, this is an oversized playground. Like, what are you kidding me? We can like put on stuff. We could run around. We could do what we want to do. And there are other guys that are big guys there that, they're just hanging out. Like, this is awesome. So yeah, like they loved it. But the equipment room, the one, we had like a little roll up window to kind of get your stuff or whatever. And every facility that I was at had, their like this tray of gum. And it was like Wrigley's from spearmint to, cinnamon to juicy fruit, whatever.
It's your gum
So
buffet right there.
you could like, have at it if you wanted. But, I don't know, you just kind of knew, all right, you want some gum, but no big deal. So, but my kids was like, yo, the facility has gum. And I mean, they would load their pockets. I was like, here, guys, here, have some gum. Say, load their pockets up with the gum. So it was like they would chew it every bit of like 5 minutes, put another piece in, put another piece in. I was like, whoa. We got to like, or they try to put a really big old piece in their mouth. But yeah, they loved the facility because the facility had gum. And, I remember in particular when, like I said, I got to Baltimore, my one teammate, Jonathan Ogden, Hall of Famer, and another guy, Shannon Sharp, who's a Hall of Famer as well. And J.O. is every bit 6'8", 300 plus, and just monster of an athlete. And Shannon Sharp, obviously, real talented tight end. And I remember I was getting treatment in the training room, and I'm sitting there, and now I'm like, my kids are kind of like, looking at all the different guys, and they're like, yo, that dude is big. Go over there and say hello to Mr. J.O. Give him 5. So Jonathan is just a gentle giant, so he's giving him 5 or whatever, and Shannon walks in. Hey, what up, Q? What's going on, Shannon? What's going on, bro? And so he's sitting there and go, hey, man, these your kids? I was like, yeah, Shannon, this is Qadry, this is Kalea, and this is Kadir. Well, Qadry, he was sitting there next to me. And my son Qadry, my oldest boy, my middle child, he would literally come over, and he was always he wanted to be by dad, be attached to dad, lean on dad, and just be chilling, which to me, I just felt like I'm 10 feet tall. Like you could, there was no bigger, greater compliment. So I'm sitting there, and, he's leaning on me, and I'm like, all right, buddy, like, you can sit here, but, you got to lean on dad. Like, hold on. Then he whispers up, he goes, Dad, that's Shannon Sharp. I was like, yeah, that's Shannon. Yeah, that's Shannon Sharp. He must have said it 3 or 4 times. And he was starstruck. And I guess, he probably saw him score a touchdown or whatever, but, his favorite player was Shannon Sharp. And one story to speed that story up to go to the next point, in the off season, I would train with a high school quarterback. And I would tell the quarterback, like, look, his name is Ed Manowitz. I'd be like, Ed, listen, I'm going to pay you this amount of money. You're going to come anytime I need to throw the football. You're gonna be there, right? He's like, oh yeah, absolutely. I was like, all right, bet, let's do it. So, Ed would come over to my house, whatever. And so we were all just hanging out and chilling before it was time to go out and throw. And Qadry deadpan said, "Dad, my favorite football players are you, Ed, and Shannon Sharp." Fell out laughing because those are the players he knew and he interacted with. So yeah, it's just a cool experience to have them in my world and them love it and honor it. And my daughter Kalea, she as far as her athletic skills and all that, I'm proud to say, like, hey, she loved to be around the game and see everybody. I remember, matter of fact, my brother, my older brother, Rocket, he came to visit one weekend, and he had an event. Him and his wife were in town, and I was like, "Oh, Uncle Ragib is coming in. Oh, he is, man, he is really fast." Well, Kalea, she was fast, and like when I say fast, like she pretty much, like, the boys in her fifth grade class used to get so, like, frustrated because they could never beat her in any sporting game in rec. Her fifth grade teacher was like just loving, like, just like, "Oh my God, I just love your daughter. Oh, she is the best." Because she was really cool in her grades and her class and all that. But when it came down to it, she's like, "All the boys want to race Kalea, beat Kalea, and they can never do it. And I just love it. Girl power." I was like, "Wow, this is really cool." This is, I'm thinking my daughter's all shy, put her thumb in her mouth, and she doesn't say much. But she's like, "Dad, I think I could beat Uncle Rogan." You could beat Uncle Rogan. She said, "Oh yeah, I think I could beat him." I was like, "Well, maybe you should race him." And I mean, she was dead set on beating my brother in the race. I was like, "I don't know, Claire." She's like, or he's like one of the fastest guys. She's like, "No, I could beat him. I think I could beat him." So it was really cute because she had he played for the Dallas Cowboys, and she had his number 81 jersey on. And I mean, she wore that thing all the time. And so Uncle Roger came in. Oh, she had her 81 jersey on. I have a picture of it somewhere, but she loved it, and they raced. And my brother,
Yeah,
he
I've heard he's
held
fast.
up my generation, but she was determined. She
Dude,
was a little disappointed that she lost, but nowadays when I tell her that story, she's like, "What was I thinking?" So
yeah, the confidence of kids, man, is unbelievable. Like I said, I work with high school students, and I've played basketball my whole life, and I'm not a superstar by any means, but I played a long time, and I just love the fact they look at me like, "You're old, I can beat you." Until we do play a one-on-one, I got a little bit going over here, but
yeah,
yeah,
yes.
their confidence, and they need it. They should have it. I think it's great that kids have that confidence for sure.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like one question for dads I think is really big, and me, because I have two kids and I grew up playing sports, clearly not to your missile level because you're the man. Um, Pushing your kids to play sports. Now, just a quick question, like you and your brothers, NFL players, this and that, like the Rocket, the Missile, which I'm still curious about how these nicknames happen, which is awesome. Um, were you guys pushed into sports, or did it become competition? And then how did you as a dad kind of like let your kids fall in love with it? Like you said, they went to the facility and got their gum, so they kind of were around it. But I'm curious what you think of parents pushing and where that line is.
Well, so, yeah, absolutely. I know exactly where you're going. Just another quick background about me. I've coached track and field for going on over a decade now. I do sports performance training. I'm a certified GOTA coach, which stands for Greatest of All Time Actions by the Greatest of All Time Athletes. I USA level 1 track and field. certification, did all that. And literally working with young people. When I was down in Boca, my kid's mom, she coached basketball, and I actually helped out and have a plaque somewhere. These little girls were freshmen in high school, and they were JV, and they were awful, but they were the best coaching experience I ever had. I can get choked up thinking about it. I don't know why, but I just loved it. I loved they came to practice every day. They had I had their attention, and their eyes were on me like, okay, lead us. What do we need to do? And they were just amazing. I love them. They were awesome girls. With that said, I mean, we're talking that was so long ago that they're probably, they could be married with kids right now and having their own experiences. And I'm hoping that, the experiences that they had, I had an influence to help them in a positive way, as far as, raising their kids and all that. So, with that said, I preface all that to say this. One, I love, playing sports, and that was my passion. And I had it when I was a young kid. No one ever had to push me to do anything. I loved playing sports. I wanted to grow up and be the next Earl Campbell. And for this generation, you'll know who Earl Campbell is. You got a thing called YouTube. Go out there, YouTube it. There's Earl Campbell. What up, Houston Oilers, number 34, biggest thighs known to man. Call him the Tyler Rose from Tyler, Texas. He was unbelievable. And so that's who I wanted to be. Now, I didn't realize the road was going to be so arduous to get to the NFL, but I had a lot of help along the way. For a parent to live through their child is just lunacy. Their own experiences should be just that, their own experiences. Sure, there were times where I know that, I was passionate and said some things to referees, but never once did I belittle another child, another athlete. I got kicked out of a basketball game. My youngest, Qadry, his basketball game. I got taken off the sideline for both my boys when they were, I think my son was a sophomore and freshman, or yeah, I think a sophomore, freshman. No, one was a sophomore, the other was a junior. And I got kicked off the sideline. I was holding the chains, and I wasn't in the right. I said what I thought was protecting our guys to the other team's head coach, who was inciting his team to I think, be more violent in their actions. And I should have not said anything to him. I should have handled it differently. I didn't. And all of a sudden, people were coming around me like, hey, you're about to fight. And I was like, bruh, I have no fight in me. I really don't care. This isn't that serious. Yet it escalated, and I had to own up to my mistake in that regards. But there's no anything in me that wants to live through my kids or feel like, if you don't play sports, you're going to somehow fail me or anything along those lines. I think parents who do that, they miss it. And my aha moment was when my son, I coached, I didn't allow them to play rec football until I think my one son was in 8th grade and the other son was in 7th grade. And no, 7th and 6th grade respectively. So they played 2 years of rec, I believe, something like that. I don't know why I was drawing a blank. But anyway,
That's fair.
The cool thing about it was my youngest, we went to this scrimmage and our offense was really antiquated. And so I was frustrated because I was like, what the heck are you doing? Now, I'm like biting my tongue. I'm like, I got to talk to the coach somehow, some way. This other offense is running this spread offense. They're killing us, the whole 9 yards. Well, I had this email subscription to an organization called All Pro Dad. And they would give you these things called Play of the Day. And they talked about living through your kid and what is the proper etiquette on sidelines. And so as I'm reading through it, one of the things that the kids would get frustrated about in these interviews that they did was the fact that their parents wouldn't, stop talking about the wins and loss or the mistakes that they made and whatever. And they said the people that they loved, they took a poll, the people that they loved going to the game the most was the grandparents. And so the article goes on and it was postulating saying that, think about it. I mean, you're a grandparent, your time on this earth is limited. So be it. You're on the latter part of your time. But all you care about is like, hey, are you having fun? And I just love watching you play. I love the enjoyment of seeing you out there and just having a blast with your teammates. And that resonated with me. And so what I strived after that to do, I had a conversation with, Qadry, my youngest, and he didn't play that well, but I sat there in a car, and I remember it vividly, and I was like, hey, you know what? I love you. I know the game. I know the game really well. I want you to understand the game, and I want you to be the best that you can be. But, I got to apologize to you. I don't think I need to be so critiquing of your game. Like, there's nothing in me that I hadn't already done. Why do I need to critique your game the way I'm critiquing it? I love you, and if you want to talk about the game, I'm here. But for me to go ahead and rant on it, there's nothing healthy about that. And we both cried. Excuse me. We both broke down, cried, hugged it out, and we went on. Um, one of the things about being a father that I love is the fact that, you admit when you're wrong, you admit you're wrong. And, there have been many a wrong time. There have been many a disappointment time when, things didn't go their way. They lost a game or, they got hurt or whatever. But, there's nothing like, being a father and having those cool conversations and, just remembering those times. I mean, it's really, really cool. It's special. My daughter, she played basketball. She played high level basketball. She won state championships. And when she got to college, she didn't have as good of a career as she wanted to because of injuries. And that hurt me as a parent, but, I just loved watching her play and watching her joy. My oldest son, he didn't have all the statistics and everything that I would have loved for him to have had. But there is nothing like, he is the ultimate sportsman. I've never seen a more, I can't be more prouder of him because of his sportsmanship. I mean, he's not even getting the ball. And, here he is. He's like running over to his teammate and celebrating with him when they would do something well. And, it just shows his character. And, consistently like that. So it's not always just, parenthood is parenthood. It's not always fun and easy. And, there are going to be those tough moments. But, these aren't, just tears for the sake of tears. These are like fond memories, awesome memories. I'm still smiling. I'm loving every minute of it. I think, athletics and the mixture of what I did plus the bonding that I had with my kids in their athletic realm just meant so much to me and it means so much to me. And yeah, that's where I think, some parents, there's a young man who I had the pleasure of training. He's actually a professional now, and basically played professional football. And he had a horrid experience growing up with his dad, and they have a decent relationship at best. And I am, I'll talk to my kids tonight and be like, hey, if I need to apologize about anything, let's talk it out. But I've had those conversations with them, and I know this to be true, that I love my kids, and I know that they love me back. And I'm always eager to say I love you and give them hugs. And although they think they're too old for kisses, hey, I'll be the first one to give them some kisses as well. So yeah, the bond of sports and keeping it in perspective is huge.
Yeah, man. Thanks for, I mean, first of all, like those are great words. I think, like you said, the article that you read on your email, like that's huge. Grandparents are the fun ones, right? That's always been the deal. Yeah, let's watch our kids with those eyes and not, I mean, I've been to a lot of high school football games, and it's a lot, there's a lot of crazy parents, man. And it's hard. And I think that's huge of you, especially being a pro athlete and kind of seeing it in that eyes, because you know the game so well and you've done all of it, man. Yeah, that actually hits me pretty good, because now, like, I've always been like, man, I can't wait till my son plays this or does this. And just you're right, man. It's like I need to tell myself to chill out and let them discover, and not.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'll ever be super pushy about it by any means. But I mean, every parent, every dad who's played any sort of sports is like, I hope they play this. I hope they get this. I hope they do that. And I think that's every dad. But you're right. I think you're 1,000,000,000% right that it's huge to just take a step back and let them live it. Like you said, your oldest son, that's a huge, huge attribute to have, is that team player, that supportive guy. Like, that's coming from you as a dad. Like, that fell off of you. And to see him run with that, good job, man.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great stuff. And can I tell you how I know this, Qadry? Being a Vikings fan, I don't know how you enjoyed your time in Minnesota or whatever the case was. My one memory of you being a Viking, when I fell in love with Qadry Ismail as a new Viking as a 10-year-old kid, was there's one play, and it's the first time I've ever seen a player do this, was catch a bomb. I don't remember who you guys were playing. You caught a long pass, running, just streaming, the missile, and watching the scoreboard, watching the guy behind you. I don't ever remember seeing another player do that. I'm like, why doesn't every player do that? Like, I still to this day, I'm like, why are guys looking back? There's a big scoreboard right there. And I just remember you doing that, which I thought was super heady and super amazing as a kid even. I'm like, that is genius. And not just that, I dug this out. I still have this. And as a kid, that's pretty, like, I was connected to a kid and followed.
Dude, that right there is my rookie card. That was when my agent was like, hey, we're gonna have you sign late. So I was like, all right, I don't know what that means, but cool. Yeah, we're just gonna hold you out of camp, get the most amount of money you can get. I was like, bruh, I already know the offense. Don't worry about it. Just get as much as you can. I'm good. So literally you getting into camp. And that was after practice, and we were catching punts. That picture right there, that was down in Mankato,
yep, that's what I got.
Minnesota. And yeah, that card. Well, DM me, and when I tell a lot of my fans, I'm like, hey, if you can self-address stamp envelope that thing to me, DM me, and I will literally autograph that sucker and push it back on out to you, and boom. Yeah. So,
no, you signed it for me already.
Whoa, that is an authenticated. Yeah, I can see it right there.
Yeah.
And that's crazy too, because, bruh, nowadays I rarely put my number. So I was like, I'm not gonna put my number anymore. After I left the Vikings, I was like, I'm not gonna put my number anymore. Wow, so that's signed.
You signed that for me as a 10-year-old kid, and I was like, this is my dude. This is my dude right here, man. So, like, and I just want athletes to know in general what that does. Like, I'm a grown man, I have my own kids, and I remember that stuff. Like,
Absolutely.
that's a big deal. And like your great stuff that you send to your kids, you had that too, man. Like,
It's interesting because, like, for me, it's Earl Campbell, you know, and so my childhood, like, I'm 50, but I knew Earl Campbell then. I wanted to be Earl Campbell, and like it inspired me present day. So I was 34. I was number 34. I was like, whoa, when I was up in Minnesota, and I loved doing there. So there are a ton of kids like you that I met because I did the DARE program. And
okay,
so I spoke all over the Twin Cities to just countless number of schools at different assemblies and everything. And I mean, I broke it down to them as far as like, yo, let's choose another path. Let's choose another direction. You be the one that is the peer pressure. You be the one that says, yeah, I'm going to not do drugs, but yo, let's do something else together. And I mean, I got a couple of boxes still of, just the thank you cards and everything that the different teachers had, given to me over the years. So wow, that's really cool. I loved my time in Minnesota. It helped me, to grow and become a young adult. And obviously, now I'm sitting there and Kalea, my daughter comes into the world and in Minnesota. So I was like, well, Kalea, I guess you're a Minnesotian. So
yeah, right, exactly. And it's one of those things like when you came in as a new Viking fan, my dad's always been a fan or whatever. When you come in with a nickname
sure.
like Missile, I'm like, I'm in, man. I know he's fast. His nickname, his brother's a rocket. He's a missile. Like, we're all in. So I appreciate you signing that card years and years ago, and I still keep it and have a bunch of those Mankato autographs, and it's a lot of fun. And like
Yes.
doing these
Very
doing
cool.
these dad
Very cool.
doing these dad interviews, the more and more that I'm getting, it's just like how you connect to certain things, and it's really cool to see it and to see where my kids will do that as well. It's a really neat thing. And real quick before we take off.
I'll say this to you I was going to say to you as a young dad, just real quickly, the main thing, I was told by a child psychologist is to be consistent. And so if children want consistency, they want you to, if you are consistently there, be there. If you're consistently absent, be absent. Whatever you do, be consistent, because if you're inconsistent, that's where the frustrations and the anger and resentment comes in for that child. But clearly you're going to be a present dad.
For sure.
I'll say this, that wherever they decide to do, push them into that direction. And I say push as in, yeah, walk beside them and help them explore. I use the word explore a ton when my kids, we'd be sitting there and we go to a hotel and I'm like, oh boy, we're gonna get in trouble because I got little kids and they're gonna get bored. I was like, hey guys, let's go explore. And that word, like, they would think, oh my God, we are in Disney. We went to Disney, by the way. It was awesome. But don't take your kids when you're really little, because it's a waste of money. Because you literally go into the park, you gotta go to the bathroom. Go out of the park, you gotta go to the bathroom. Then you go get something to eat. By the time you look around, you only went on one ride, and it cost you $500 to go on one ride and have a Mickey Mouse little spectacle, and that was it.
Lord.
Wait till they're older and they can enjoy it. You'll thank me.
I like that advice as well, for sure. Yeah, this was awesome. Like I said, appreciate it so much. Can you tell everybody what you're doing now? I know you're still Baltimore guy. Like we've talked about, you're East Coast. You do some TV stuff for the Baltimore Ravens, correct?
Yeah, so obviously been at TV pretty much my entire career. Got some old video footage of me on the Rosen Sports Sunday Show. Myself
Yeah,
and Jack Del Rio and Michelle Tafoya
that's right.
was
Michelle
his
Tafoya.
crew. I think he's up in Minnesota doing radio now.
Yep.
Rosen is, I believe, right?
Yep.
On K-Fan, I believe.
Yeah.
And shout out to Mark. He was awesome, still is awesome. Gave me my start. But with that said, yeah, I've been doing from radio to TV, you name it. But now currently I have a few different shows that I do on the CBS affiliate. Primarily do a Ravens pregame show.
Very cool.
And yeah, it's awesome. Love being a part of it. Have a Super Bowl ring as a player and have a Super Bowl ring as a broadcaster for being a part of the Ravens team broadcast. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. But my passion also, like I said, is doing sports performance coaching and coaching. And so both of them, you know, it just serves me as a lot of fun to be in a game, to share memories. Heck, I got a 7-year-old that I was training today, and, you know, his dad is, you know, just loving it. And the kid, you could tell, just enthusiastic about it. And he's like, okay, so Coach Q, you know, do you think I could be, like, tell me, which one would you pick? Do you think I'll be? I was like, what is it, buddy? He goes, a receiver or a quarterback. Like Taysom Hill, you know, he can do both. And he was so cute and enthusiastic. And, you know, he's like, you know, because he dropped the pass or whatever, he comes back, goes, well, you know, my dad and I, like when I come home from school, my dad and I always play catch. But we hadn't recently, but I'm going to get back into it again and I'll be better next time. And I'm like, dude, you're 7. It's okay if you drop a pass. You look really good right now. You look really fast. You're going to be okay. You know, but it's so cute. But yeah, the passion of doing the media stuff, doing my training, and just enjoying my time, genuinely enjoying my time in a different light as a dad who has older kids now.
Awesome, man. And like we said, you got a Super Bowl ring, but you did something in that Super Bowl. I 47-yard grab in that Super Bowl, like that's some big time stuff, man. It's awesome. Very, very cool. I think that's it for today, man. This is a great interview. I appreciate it more than you know. Thank you so much. Baby dude out. I'll catch you for 1 second here before we bounce.
Sounds good.
I'll pause